Hey guys, I wanted to, before I get to the videos later this week for week four's preview, I wanted to briefly put in my 2 cent thoughts on what the world, at least the sports world, is definitely abuzz with over these last night and and especially this morning. If you didn't see what happened last night or on Monday Night Football, you're probably either living under a rock or you just haven't been paying attention to the news or the sports channels today. Um, Last night, of course, Monday Night Football saw the Packers take on the Seahawks in Seattle, and it turned out to be it was a great game. It was a great game all the way to the very end. It definitely factored into my fantasy game this week because I was going into the night leading by 5 points, and I had Aaron Rodgers, and my opponent had the Packers defense. So obviously, this was going to be a very critical game in deciding who won this week. Um, so it was tight all game long. The game was close. My matchup was close. It was going back and forth, back and forth. Um, but obviously, if you didn't see what happened, the Packers were leading 12-7. Russell Wilson was leading the Seahawks down the field for the last drive, and on the last play, he heaved a ball to the end zone from the 24 yards out, and it was pretty much a free-for-all. It was a scrum, kind of like what you see in rugby, and it landed. Well, really, watching it live, the play happened so fast that I honestly couldn't tell what had happened. I was only watching for the signal. I didn't know at the time if the Green Bay guy had I forget his name, but like Williams or something had caught it, or I didn't know for sure if Tate had caught it. I didn't know, but then I saw the one official signal the touchdown. So I knew that I thought we all thought that Seattle had won, and on that thrilling last play, it's what the officials ruled. But obviously, I knew it was also going to be reviewed because every scoring play in the NFL is now reviewed. It was such a close call. And then you watch the replays. You watch the sequence of replays, and you see that it's clear. It's very clear that the first guy to even touch the ball, the guy that brings it to his body, is the Green Bay defender. He has even Tate's arm never even came close to touching it there, and the Green Bay guy had it right in his hands and tried to bring it down to his body. In fact, there's one photo, a still photo, where he has it right to his body. But the officials, the replacement officials, hadn't apparently have a clue. One guy comes over and goes like this, signaling that it's a touchback. The other official, who's actually closer to the play, signals touchdown. So it was just a very confusing situation watching it live. And then when they reviewed it, I thought to myself, oh, this is going to be easy. It might. And the thing of it was, with that score and with that outcome, before that play, I was only ahead by like 1 point or 3 points. I wasn't ahead by much. But that drive, that was critical. And then with that extra point they had to kick as a result, by the way, they ruled a touchdown. They reviewed it and said the ruling on the field stood as a touchdown, which was just shocking to everyone. Obviously not to Seattle fans, but everyone else was shocking because the call was horrendously wrong. Green Bay players stormed off the field in frustration, knowing they had been jobbed, and it was just mind-blowing to me. I mean, so, it was mind-blowing, but at the same time, I was really torn. I'm a diehard fantasy player. You guys know that. I love this game. I love the game of football. I love fantasy football. But I gotta say, it actually felt a little bit dirty knowing that drive and that sequence and that score helped me win my week. I ended up winning by 5 because of that. And yeah, I was excited about it, but looking back on it after I posted that as my status on Facebook and all, I took a step back and I thought to myself, wait a minute, I'm celebrating a fantasy win on a play that really shouldn't have. And it doesn't impact just fantasy. Did you guys hear how many bets in Vegas were overturned just because of this one play? Like $150 million, $200 million changed hands just because of that call. it's mind-boggling now to think that after what happened, and I'm sure that a lot of fantasy weeks were also impacted, and fantasy outcomes were impacted by this play as well. Mine was. I'm sure a lot of people's weeks were impacted. So for me, yeah, it's a win, and I'll take a win any way I can get it. But for it to come down to that on that drive, with the play ending that way, I don't know. To me, it just felt like, I don't want to say tainted, because that's kind of, I think, a really dirty negative word to use. But it's tough. It's tough because as the season goes on, now you're going to look back on that maybe and say, oh, if that didn't happen, if they didn't rule that way, the what if game. And I don't really want to play that. But then the NFL made the statement today. They only said that, yes, offensive pass interference should have been called on Tate when he shoved Samuels out of the way, or I'm sorry, Sham Shields out of the way, and that would have ended the play right there and the game. Any score at all, whether missed or not, it would have been nullified, and the game would have been over, and Green Bay would have won. So do I agree with the fact that Green Bay was jobbed? Yeah, I do. I honestly agree that it was just a horrendous call. I agree with most of the nation saying that it was a horrendous call. So obviously now the big debate is this. Is this the tipping point? Now that these replacement officials, a call that they have made has finally, it took 3 weeks, but it finally affected the outcome of a game. So now the question is, do these guys need to go? Do the real refs need to come back? And I think we can all agree that the answer to that also is yes. That it was bound to happen. It was bound to happen sooner or later. We knew that they couldn't go unscathed forever. And not just that call, but the amount of penalties they called in that game, it's like for one sequence, I think I counted like 4 or 5 penalties in a row. I mean, there was a flag on every single play of a drive. It was just absolutely ridiculous that they were calling things and everything. And some were right, but some were not. Some you really couldn't tell what the call was, or if there was any call, or any penalty at all. So, it's definitely a very tough situation. And they said today that, and I've still got SportsCenter on right now. I've been, while I've been here, I was watching it most of the day because it's the talk of the mostly the world. It is at least the talk of the sports world, and definitely I'm sure it makes front page on a lot of different things. I even saw some of the headlines they were showing on SportsCenter and other papers, like the Seattle paper, like Tacoma paper, said victory with a catch. I like their play on words there. Green Bay's paper, though, said the 13th man, based on what the comment of the tight end Crabtree said, saying the 13th man beat us tonight. That's a reference, of course, to Seattle's fans calling themselves the 12th man, but the 13th man being the officials in this case. So where do we go from here? I mean, should I feel this way? I know I shouldn't. In fantasy, a win is a win is a win, and you're going to take them any way you can get them. But you'd have to think there's also a lot of frustrated owners out there today on that call that I'm sure changed a lot of fantasy outcomes, especially if it didn't go their way. And I'm sure my opponent feels the same way. I'm sure he's very frustrated that that call didn't go his way, and as a result, it's a loss for him in the column while I get my first win that I was desperately in need of. I have never started 0-3 in my fantasy career ever. I have managed to be 2-1 a couple times, 1-2 a couple times, which I am again this year. But I've never started 3-0. I've never started 0-3. I've always been in the middle. So take that what you will, but I don't know. But I have to say that I kind of lucked out because just the way that the nature of that call went down. So, and I can say this: am I happy for Seattle? Am I glad they're off to a good start and they won a game they really weren't expected to win? Yeah, but still, you can't. The comment by the guard Lang, He said any player or coach on Seattle who thinks they legitimately won that game has zero integrity and is an embarrassment. You know what? That's not an understatement. That's not exactly a bad thing to say. He's kind of right, because they really shouldn't have won that game. A, it should have been offensive pass interference, should have been called, ending the play, and B, Tate never caught the ball. He tried to get his arm in there when the Green Bay guy clearly has it in his hands. I mean, it's so anyway, I just felt like I had to share my 2 cents with you guys. Clearly, we have never seen. It's like Mike Tirico said, the Seahawks win in the most crazy, I don't know exactly, I'm paraphrasing, but one of the wildest endings you'll ever see, I think is what he said. And that's true. I have never seen a game end that way before. It was certainly something that will go down in the ages, obviously for the wrong reasons, more infamous than famous, but definitely a game changer, and maybe even a season changer in more ways than one, in a number of different outlets. Feel free to share your guys' thoughts. What was your thoughts? Obviously, whether you're a Green Bay fan, Seattle fan, or just an NFL fan, whatever, or even a player of fantasy yourself, let me know your thoughts. What was going through your mind when you saw that call? Did you think it was an interception right off the bat? Did you thought Tate caught it? Did you think the play even needed to be reviewed? So. And did it affect your fantasy week this week? Did you suffer a loss as a result of that play, or did you get a win as a result of that play? Let me know your thoughts down below. As for the videos this week for week 4, I will probably plan on recording them tomorrow. I've already got all my notes made up for this next week on guys you should target and guys you should either avoid or worry about, and of course the injury updates. And then they should be up either by tomorrow night or Thursday at the latest. Definitely by Thursday. So, so again, guys, I just wanted to put in my 2 cents in this because I know that everyone, I'm sure, across the country is, and I just felt like I had to get my thoughts out there. So yes, I did feel like Green Bay got jobbed, and the repercussions from this are gonna be felt across this league for a long time, I fear. And they even said that even if they make a deal this week, the replacement's probably gonna still do the work this week. So it's gonna get real. It's already made this league look so bad, and I think it's only gonna get worse before it gets better, because like I said, I knew this was bound to happen. We knew it was going to happen at some point. It was going to affect an outcome, and now, literally, pardon the French, but the fits hit the shan, if you know what I mean, and it's blown up to a proportion that we never could have imagined that would have happened. So stay tuned for the videos later this week for your Week 4 preview, and feel free to share your thoughts on the Monday Night Meltdown, or Fail Mary, or Immaculate Misconception. I think it's been called. A lot of names been given the play. So let me know your thoughts, and we'll see you later in the week for the videos for Week 4. All right, thanks, guys.